Hello. Can you guys hear us? Just give us a thumbs up in the chat if you guys can hear us.
Hello.
Okay. Awesome. So happy New Year to all of you, and thank you for tuning in, be it live now or over the recording. So 2022 is going to be a very, very exciting year for all of us, and we love that you guys are on this journey with us. And this is going to be we're gonna change some of the mode of engagement that we have with the community, and this is the first step of it. So there'll be more and more live content where we would actually be using it as well for propagation and to really help build out our marketing outreach for all of us. All right. So I think as more of you are joining, I think we wouldn't wait. We'll just start off and we'll give you. So there's a few agenda for today. The first is we'll address some of the community questions and concerns that we've been seeing across our Telegram groups and Discord. And then the second thing is to do a quick update on what has happened in the past 2 weeks. The third thing, it's probably more the exciting thing, is to break down our Path ecosystem strategy. And then we'll go into a Q&A mode to answer all the questions that you folks have. And then at the end of this town hall, there's a very special announcement that we want to make. So, stay tuned until that very end. Right. So I think just to start off this session, right, at this town hall. So I think over the past couple of weeks, there have been multiple PathDAO improvement proposals that has been put up to basically improve the foundation state of PathDAO. And I think we understand that in every decision, in every discussion, there will be a mix of opinions, right? There'll be some people for it and some people against it. And I think that's how a DAO like us function, right? And that's both the beauty of the DAO as well as potentially its drawback, right? So I think the idea is what happened over the past few weeks was that 4 proposals were passed. Many of them were highly debated. There was a lot of mixed views for many of them. But just to address some of the concerns that came up through some of these proposals that were passed, and just to ensure that we are moving together as a community and as a DAO going forward, right? So I think the first thing was around the whole staking contract upgrade, and I think many of you, especially the ones with smaller token holdings, you have to migrate the contract, right? And that's one of the drawbacks that we had to face in the passing of the proposal. But I think in terms of what we are doing to mitigate the gas issues and the gas costs that some of the smaller holders might feel, we have already announced that there will be a form of reward for people who still leave their Path tokens in the old pools, and we'll do a retroactive reward provision 18 months down the road. So these are all in place. So even if you're a small bag and you can't move your tokens out, you will get rewarded as if you were staking in the new pools, right? So this is to ensure that there is no issues of you guys needing to burn gas to move. But I think what's more important is I think there are a lot of questions around, Ethereum going forward. Is that the right chain, right, to solely exist on? And we feel you, and actually we are also very aligned, right? Where we our devs are already looking to bridge our token into Polygon, and we don't have a timeline yet, but this hopefully would provide us a more gas friendly environment, not just for the claimings or the stakings that we are doing, right, but also for the ecosystem of products and utility that we are bringing into the Path ecosystem over the next couple of months. So totally aligned in the area, and we are also looking into that. Another question that came up, which was I think was the third PIP that was brought up, which was on the SEX listing, right? And I think many of you are now asking, okay, so the proposal has been passed. Where is the SEX listing? So in all transparency, our initial timeline for SEX listing was actually yesterday. So we had everything in place to actually go onto a SEX listing yesterday, but we've postponed it because of two key reasons. So the first reason is that there was a bear market, and after consulting with our advisors, we realized that it's not strategically a good move to list when the market is really bearish, because you won't get the effect of new people coming into the environment. But more importantly, what has transpired was that we now have an opportunity to go to upgrade to a better exchange. So that's also another reason. And this better exchange, wanted to be the first listing site for us, right? So that we are currently now in the due diligence process for them. We will get an update next week on whether there will be a successful listing. If not, then we will still activate the previous exchange to go on. So we are looking at a timeline of listing either at end of January. But if you don't hit the end of January timeline, we will have to wait for mid-February, because there's a Chinese New Year season, which is not optimal for SEX listing. So I think that's on the question around the SEXes and the staking contract upgrade. Okay, so that's the first part around, I think, some of the key questions that you guys are voicing. But feel free to ask further questions in the chat, both in the YouTube live chat or also in this StreamYard chat. So moving on to just some quick updates around what are some of the key progress that we've achieved as a DAO in the past 2 weeks. So I think the major update that we brought in the DAO is the dashboard going live. And I think this is something that we are leading in, especially in the entire gaming guild environment, of bringing transparency, really detailed transparency to our DAO members. So I think as of today, versus any other environments, you'll be getting monthly reports, but now you can actually just look at the site and understand where are the investments going, what is the ratios of the investments, which ones are working, which ones are not, and you can even click through and see you can even audit the wallets that are holding some of these assets, right? There's a level of transparency that we are giving to the DAO. So feel free to check it out at app.pathdao.io. In fact, I think we've also migrated all of our claiming and from the old website to this new dashboard. So it makes it cleaner and a better user experience for all of you. So that's one. And I think alongside this dashboard going live, there's going to be a massive website revamp and white paper revamp to allow to basically make the entire onboarding journey for a new DAO contributor a better experience going forward. So the team is also working on this, and we'll have updates for you over probably in the next town hall as well. So that's one. The second one was a staking contract upgrade going live. So now staking rewards are locked. This would stabilize some of the emissions, and preventing people to get too spooked around the price, right? Because I think a lot of times people look at price and not really the market cap. So when these staking emissions are now locked, hopefully it would stabilize some of the price action. The third thing is on the investments. So up to date today, 1.7 million USD of the treasury has already been invested. Since we last caught up, some of the major investments that we've made in the private seed rounds are into four more gaming protocols. They are Mirror World, Endless Battlefield, Cradles, and Gunzilla. So these are a mix of genres. So we have like MMORPGs that we are going in, Battle Royale, and even some of the more what do you call it, Titan Arena style kind of gameplay, right? So some of these came from the community, and I think that's a massive thank you to community members who brought up alpha opportunities. So I think we've got 50 plus submissions from you folks, right? So massive thank you, and continue to do that. I mean, we still have the reward running, and we'll contact you personally for the ones who actually contributed to some of these successful investments. So let's monitor and let's see, if the current investment thesis is working, and if it's working, we'll continue. If it's not, then like as always, we'll pivot and find a better strategy. The fourth update is in terms of scholar scaling. So as of today, our scholar count sits at 2.1k. There, just to give a bit of a sense of the entire scholar environment, is I think most of you who are XZ used to come from the XZ environment. The state of XZ is not in such a prime environment. I think a lot of the earnings has been declining. And hence we as a DAO as well, we are strategically repositioning our focus for growing scholars away from XZ into new horizons. So two of the key ones that we are looking at, it's Pegaxi and Titan Arena. Actually three: Pegaxi, Titan Arena, and League of Kingdoms. So I think just to the DAO contributors and also to the gamers in this town hall, these are the ones where we will be ramping up, likely around 2,000 scholars in the next 2 weeks. So continue to get your friends in. There's going to be massive opportunities, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of other fun events happening at the sidelines as well, apart from the XP leaderboard that you folks are familiar with. All right, so I think that's the four key progress updates coming from the DAO. Okay, in terms of then, so what's the third topic they wanted to cover today? It's around the whole 2022 ecosystem strategy. Right, so I think many of you are familiar today with what our investment thesis, right? So our investment thesis, it's basically twofold, right? One is we grow the gamer count, and once you grow the gamer count, we then leverage this gamer count as a distribution value add to new gaming protocols, which we then enter from a private round perspective to then gain the alpha when it gets listed and it builds into a matured game. So that is the key investment strategy of the DAO. But what we've seen is that in 2022, there's going to be way more opportunities, way more white spaces to capture value and to build innovation within the space, which fundamentally leads back to us fulfilling our mandate to cultivate value for the holders of Path tokens, right? Basically, when we explore these opportunities and we build out in these opportunities, we can increase our treasury value at a much more exponential rate. So I think our vision has always been to onboard and to convert the masses of all the Web2 users and Web2 gamers into the Web3 space using blockchain gaming as a gateway. Yeah. And I think what we've seen is then, in 2022, we're going to see a massive influx of games coming into the ecosystem. And when this happens, that all of these games are going to look for one thing: the distribution. Like, how do we get our games out to gamers, right? So tactically, I think today where we see ourselves is that we see ourselves as two things, right? We have our Path Gaming Guild, where our scholars are growing and having fun, and then we have our Path Venture arm, where we are actually deploying capital and gaining alpha. But what we see is, going down the road, there's going to be a massive opportunity to create a platform to be that Steam of Web3 games. And the idea behind this is to help in the discovery journey of gamers coming from the Web2 environment to really understand, like, hey, look, what are the options I have, right? What's the option space I have to play, be it for fun, be it for earning, right? So the idea is then, when we build up a Steam for Web3 games, I think the typical issue that every marketplace or two-sided markets will face is a chicken and egg problem, right? When you build a marketplace like this, gamers won't come in because if there's no games won't come in if there's no gamers, right? So how would this succeed is because we at PathDAO already are growing the two sides from the business as usual activity that we're doing, right? We already have a guild that's growing rapidly. We already have investments that's growing rapidly, giving us a lot of gaming partnerships. So what this means is then, we could just use two of these assets, put that on a platform, and then let that be a flywheel. So once the platform has this massive number of games, massive number of gamers, it then becomes a virtuous cycle of more gamers coming to join the Path ecosystem, coming onto this Steam platform to find games, and then more games coming into the Path ecosystem, allowing us to invest into them and becoming on this platform for gamers to find them and participate in their games. So that is the next key step of what the Path ecosystem is going to build out. And then once this happens, right, once we have this platform of gamers playing games, the secret sauce here is then you're actually capturing information. Right now you have information of, for every gamer that's on this platform, we have now data on how much assets they actually can own in game, how much earnings they have in game, right? And this basically shapes some form of income information on these people. And what we've seen as well within our guilds today, and I think for you folks who even have your own scholarship programs, right, you've realized that a lot of your scholars, many of them sometimes they need financial assistance, and they ask us for, can we get a certain payout earlier because I need to either repair something in my house, celebrate a birthday, help with my parents' medical bills, right? So there's a lot of this demand for credit facilities and financial instruments which they don't have access in the real world. So I think what we've seen is then, because now we have this platform of data, of income information, we can then basically use this information to provide loans to our gamer community, which they can never get in real life at a fair rate, right? So basically what this means is that there's this massive opportunity for us to build out a fintech offering on top of these gamers that's coming into the platform and the data that we're collecting. Now this fintech offering, I think anyone in this fintech space will understand that it's a very lucrative way to actually build out stickiness in the ecosystem and to build out more loyalty of gamers into the ecosystem. And that's how we grow both the user base and also potential utility for our scholars and also for our ecosystem. So that's basically the long road, right? And I think along the sidelines of doing all these different growth projects, there'll be a lot of content coming out, right? Both from our guild standpoint, where we have gamers churning out, cool videos of them playing games or special moments within games. We have the investment side producing content around what some of the key investment theses of which clearing protocols to enter, what's the state of the market. And then from all these different other growth elements, all this information we want to then curate and put it in a single platform, and allowing that platform to be one of our key marketing elements for the Path ecosystem and the Path brand to be a thought leader and in the blockchain gaming space. Right. So fundamentally, if you boil it down, there's going to be 5 key pillars, right, in the Path ecosystem. So 1, which we have today, is the guild. 2, which we also have today, is the venture arm. The third one would be the gaming platform. The the fourth one would be the fintech ecosystem environment, and the fifth one would be that media arm. And five of these pillars come together in a very synergistic environment to basically allow us to grow, to basically be a leader in this blockchain gaming space. So I think there might be some questions, right, around like, okay, is this doing too much, right? Are we overexpending the reach of the team, right? So currently the thinking it's actually twofold, right? One is that we've realized that there is a way to actually achieve this through incubations. So meaning that we might not need to execute on these projects ourselves. We can actually fund other founding teams out there who are aligned to these visions and are willing to build within the Path ecosystem and get them to actually build this out for us, right, at a more rapid speed, and be able to deliver the same value to the ecosystem. So that's one of the key strategies that the team is exploring. And at this stage, I think the big question then is, when would all this come in, right? So at this stage, just to give a key update, we are already working to produce the MVP for both of these, fintech and the gaming pillar. I think you guys will be able to see this MVP for the gaming side probably in 2 to 3 weeks from now, and you can see and actually, in fact, in the next couple of weeks as well, we'll be testing the fintech environment. So we will be opening up some micro loans for our scholars over the next couple of weeks to test some of these hypotheses and information that we need prior to really starting out some of these project pillars. So that's a bit of the flavor of what the ecosystem is about and why we as a team are very, very excited, because we see a massive opportunity in the space, and just there's so much that can be done, and we would love to actually do this with your participation and your involvement as well. Right, so I think that's the gist of the ecosystem strategy. So I think now we move on to the fourth bit, which is then just opening up the floor, right? So now hearing some of the key updates that we have, what Path is looking to do going forward. We would just love to hear some of the questions that you have, and we will answer them to our best ability. So yeah, I think Vicky, have we any key questions?
As usual, I'll be the one, Wiki here, everything empty, to answer the questions. Thanks, Jensen, for the update. It's super exciting. So I'm looking at the YouTube comment section. So far, there's not many questions, actually. But there's one question.
The first one, right? I think, Esan, it's when do we get listed on exchange? I think we've touched it earlier. Basically, we've postponed the exchange listing because we want to get on a better one. But if that doesn't happen, then we'll be listing either end of January or mid-February.
Yeah, and as discussed, we can't really review more detail about the centralized exchange, but stay tuned. Just 1 second. All right, I see someone from Sing City. It's not really a question, but I think we had good fun. So-called raiding the Sing City Discord. Personally, super bullish about Sing City, and I think it would be awesome if we can somehow partner up with them, and it will be super beneficial for PathDAO community. And if you guys don't know Sing City, just check it out. It's super lit. Okay. Yeah, I think there's one question around. It's not really a question, but like it's around the scholars, 2.1K scholars. And to be honest, I actually think we should kind of move away from the term scholars, but rather just call it a PathDAO guild players, because actually we realize a lot of players, they don't really need money to participate in Web3 or blockchain gaming. It's just about playing a game alongside someone else who share the same passion, right? And so that's something that we also want to move towards. So on top of just a typical scholarship model where we actually provide, scholarship, buying NFT assets for the players, which then you term them as scholar, we also want to actually welcome any players in the blockchain gaming space to join us We have a very active community in most of the Web3 games so far, to brainstorm, to have fun, and we also will be rolling out different events um, to improve the community vibe and also to improve the bonding among the community members within the blockchain gaming space. Is Jensen Ether Mage? Yes, Jensen is Ether Mage. I'm everything empty here. When will Anderson Sumali speak in the town hall? We'd love to see him sharing his thought. So for context, Anderson Sumali is he's the advisor of PathDAO, and he's also the CEO and co-founder of Ajaib, which is basically a unicorn, a fintech unicorn in Indonesia. Personally, we think we're super lucky to have him as the advisor, and also very jives really well with our fintech vision, which we are actively working on it. I do not think that he will be coming on our town hall anytime soon, though, given how packed out his schedule is. But let's try to put it on the pipeline. Let's see if we can get him on. Any leaks on new games we are looking at? So this is actually something that's very interesting. So what we notice is that as the more gamers that we talk to, we realize that a lot of gamers enjoy playing games that have not been released, so-called alpha or beta, right? So what we've been actively working with some of the games that we partner up with is also see if we could actually squeeze some of our PathDAO players to start testing out the games, right, and give them feedback. And so far, I mean, we partner up, we invest and partner up with I think more than 15 games already, and it's definitely in the pipeline that we will be having more and more events where actually we as a group start playing their games, right? Start engaging in the games even before it hits the public. And it's also some of the perks for you gamers out there to actually join us and have some of these so-called perks, right? That you wouldn't actually have the opportunity if you were not part of PathDAO. And obviously, in terms of investment, so far we spent most of our time, a lot of our time looking at investments in some of the exciting blockchain games. On the weekly basis, we look at least 20 games a week. As updated by Jensen, we have invested, deployed more than 1 million USD so far, right, in different early stage blockchain games across different genre, right, mobile, MMORPG, some of the casual games as well. So stay tuned, and we are extremely transparent. We update our dashboard every Friday. It's called app.pathdao.io. Just go there and you will see what are the games that we actually invest in. Are there any plans on leaderboards? Because at this point, same people will keep winning. We are always actively improving the mechanism of the leaderboard. If I were to take a step back, right, actually, the reason why we have a leaderboard is to improve the engagement for the community, right? Because as much as you guys are playing games, it's always fun to also actually hit certain milestones. And what we want to do is to have a little bit of reward to reward those folks who actually manage to hit milestones, not in one game, but in multiple games, right? So it's a way to improve engagement. And I get your point around potentially same people are keep winning. So I guess in order to achieve the objective of both rewarding the good player, but also rewarding people who engage, we will definitely be optimizing the mechanism of the leaderboard. And so thanks for the feedback. We will keep improving. How do you identify new games that is worthy for PathDAO to join in? So there are twofold actually. So games, one is for the games that are not live yet. So those are purely investment angle. And the second bucket is the games that are already live and should PathDAO actually invest in the NFTs and actually bring players in, right? So for the first bucket, it's pure investment angle, right? So the way we evaluate a blockchain game, it's through a very systematic way, right? So first, we understand for that particular genre, what's the maximum ceiling or the maximum revenue that specific genre could get to, right? So for example, a PUBG could earn more compared to say a turn-based card game, right? And so first we understand what is the ceiling of the potential, and then we evaluate the game in terms of, number one, how confident are we, can the team deliver the product? That's point number one in terms of product. Number two, how confident we think the team can distribute the product, so market and get players in. And number three, how strong is the tokenomics, right? And so we basically do a score base across these dimensions, and so then we get the expected annual revenue for the specific game that we looked at. And then we divide by the valuation that we will be entering, and that's how we get to exactly whether we should actually invest in the game or not. That's on the investment side. In terms of games that are already live, and I think the biggest pointer that we get all the time is from our community, right? If someone comes to us and say, "Hey guys, this game is so fun, we have to get PathDAO community to join," we will evaluate. We will look at it. We will understand, number one, if the economics make sense, and number two, will the community actually enjoy playing the game, right? If it checks both boxes, it will be in. That's the short answer to your question. Any target in terms of quantity of games PathDAO will invest? Not really. As long as it hits the certain bar that we think is worth investing in, and we have a very high bar, right? But if it crosses the bar, we will invest. And obviously, how much we invest is subject to how strong of a conviction we have, and also how high the score our proprietary scoring model framework actually tells us. How many people work at PathDAO today? So as of today, we actually have 15 people that are full-time based in Malaysia, working on PathDAO. But on top of that, we also have many different managers that are actually supporting different game ecosystems, right? Because as of today, we already have 2,000 scholars. As you can imagine, there are a lot of logistics items that we have to sort through. And so I think if you add all of them up, we are potentially crossing maybe 20 plus to 30. And like I said, we are not stopping at 2,000 scholars, right? We will keep growing to 5,000 in the coming weeks, and potentially 10 to 20,000 by end of year, right? And so in order to hit that, we definitely scale our team, be it from in person or from the community virtually. Any jobs you can offer besides playing games, like inviting potential players for us scholars? So actually, there's one potential job that you can. So first of all, I think there are a lot of ways that we Path reward our community members. Number one, if you come across any exciting investment opportunities, tell us, right? Tell us, fill up a Google form. We will reward if we think your recommendation for analysis is good. Number two, if you participate in some of the cross-community seeding events, so for example, if we rate SingCity or some of the games, go to their Discord, you might be airdrop certain Path tokens. Number three, obviously, become a scholar. Number four, compete in our leaderboard. Number five, actually, we are actively recruiting community leads. So let's say you are from Brazil, right? And you think that you want to preach PathDAO, preach Web3, preach Metaverse to people around you, DM any of us right on Discord, and we will actually have a fixed salary for you, and also a bit of budget for you to organize local events, be it playing games on cyber cafes, go to McDonald's and play games together, and build a kind of local community, right? So that's something that you could definitely explore. So if you are keen, please just DM us on Discord, on Telegram. Yeah. Any plans to add utility to our Path NFT? We actually just had a brainstorming session, and we will very soon be releasing that in terms of the utility. So stay tuned. It's a little bit of a small alpha for you, but not financial advice. Don't buy our Path NFT if you enjoy the art, right? But we promise that we will be adding utility very soon to our Path NFT. Is there anything you can say about how PathDAO intends to partner with SingCity? Twofold. Number one, we invest, be it in the token or in the NFT. And number two is basically just introduce our players to start playing the game, right? And even just by playing the game, bringing fun to the community is also a way we give back to our community. Could you share about your thoughts about SimCity so far? I would say it's probably one of the most well prepared game, right? Because when you think about a game, it's not just about a game, right? The game could be amazing, but you need players to play. And I think SimCity checks both boxes where they have an amazing team in order to deliver the quality that they want to achieve, triple A game. But on top of that, they also have a very strong distribution arm. Right? Just look at the Discord, look at the engagement level. It just shows that the team has the capability to both build and sell the game to the players, right? So that's why we are very bullish about SimCity. And I think, I mean, again, the founder Roy is an amazing guy, super capable, super charismatic, super visionary. So that's what. Is there or could there be a list of all the games reviewed so far and the reasons they got rejected if that's the case? Well, I mean, we have a long list, right? And typically it goes through a funnel, right? We have this thing called a 50-minute check where if we have a name of the game, we'll spend maximum 15 minutes to say it will go no go, right? If it's a go, we'll go into the next bucket where we'll spend maybe an hour. And if it's another goal, we will go into another in-depth, talk to the team, and go to the investment council to be invested, right? So it's actually a funnel. Good question. Maybe we will think about how we can make it even more transparent beyond the ones that we invest, also the ones that we choose not to invest. So let us think about that. That's a good suggestion. Any thoughts on bridging over to another blockchain with lower gas fee? Again, it really, first of all, just want to express that it really hurts to see some of our path holders actually paying very expensive gas fees in order to move from the staking migration contracts to the new one, right? Because I understand specifically in like where I'm from, $100, $200 of gas fees is expensive, right? It's actually someone's monthly salary, so we understand that. With that, two things. Number one, we have already announced the fact that we will actually have airdrop event for those folks who have path stake without moving below a certain amount, right? So it's already on the announcement. That's point number one. Point number two, our dev team, despite how much things on the pipeline exploring moving to a blockchain with a lower gas fee is also on one of our top priorities. We are working hard on that, and I hope you understand. Thank you. Is PathDAO going for long term or short term? Why? Definitely long term. It's a tricky question. What do you mean by long term or short term? Long term, definitely in terms of where we are trying to achieve, like where we're trying to go. We always say that we want to be the biggest in the field. However, when it comes to investment, for example, we have a mix of strategy, right? So we invest in games that are illiquid for 24 months, 36 months. So that's long term for sure. But we also invest in certain assets that we think that is a short-term catalyst, and we might actually liquidate to take profit. So there's a bit of a mixed strategy right here. But if I take a step back, PathDAO it's a long-term project, it's multi-year project. We are here to stay. I think that's the question so far. I guess I'll take a pause. We move on to the next agenda, or
okay. Cool. I think thanks for the questions, everyone. Feel free to keep it flowing if you guys have. But I think then moving to the final agenda, right? And I think this is probably one of the most important announcement for the night at least in our side. It's around community activation, right? So I think one of the key competitive edge of PathDAO is the community, right? And actually, unlike many other projects that I personally am part of, right, from a personal investment standpoint, what I felt was very different was that in our community, many of you actually stood up to offer help in so many ways, right? From the investment side, connecting us to founders, to even helping us program stuff, right? I think some of the developers from our community actually came up to help us roll out this dashboard. And it's probably one of the reasons why we could push out a dashboard in such a record time. To guild building, getting the gamers excited, and to also community management, right? So many of you are already standing up to help, and we really appreciate it. And we want to do this in a more official way. So over the next few days, you will hear an announcement around a more solid structure, right, of how you could contribute to the DAO in a more organized and in a larger capacity, especially in 3 verticals. So the first one, it's around investment opportunity seeking, about helping us do some initial due diligence of projects, really growing our investment deal flow pipeline. The second one is around growing our guild. So be it from a community engagement standpoint, be it from an event organization standpoint, be it of becoming guild masters, right? Because we are really expanding our presence in more and more games. So voluntarily, not volunteering, but coming up, right? Stepping up, because we will compensate, right? We as a DAO, we will compensate you fairly, right, for your contribution. And also the third pillar, it's around helping us build our marketing and brand equity going forward as well. So these are the 3 key areas that we are looking to grow further in, and we appreciate more and more of you to step up into a larger role, right? To really build this DAO out together. And I think that's one of the most special things about DAO, right? Is that we are community based, and when the community steps up, it's a really, really magical feeling, right? Achieving together. But so to start off this community activation event, we would love to make a very special announcement, right? So we would love to welcome one of our key community members into one of the core roles at PathDAO, helping us to push on the community engagement, helping us to communicate the thinking and the thoughts of the team, and also helping us to build a bit on the marketing front. So he has a very strong background in marketing, in growing communities, in growing internal teams, and is also pretty OG in the crypto space. Getting into Bitcoin probably earlier than many of us. So and many of you might be already familiar with him. So I think let's welcome Don Johnson to the stage, just to say hi and to introduce himself to the community.
Hey guys, yes, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'd like to introduce myself. You guys may know me through the Discord and the Telegram as Don Johnson. I've been helping out with the project for the last couple of weeks as a community manager, and was really immediately impressed with how Path was bringing individuals, communities, and cultures together. I originally learned about the project through a friend who works at Illuvium, and I just was like, I loved what was happening with the group, but I also saw like a big opportunity to contribute. My background is in marketing and managing teams, and from the beginning, I was immediately impressed with Jansen and Wiki when I had the opportunity to speak with them. I was impressed with what they were doing, and it was really evident and clear to me how important community was to them. But I also could see that they really needed help on marketing. My belief is that the marketing needs to be done and focused in 2 ways. First, it's absolutely critical that we get the word of Path out to more people. However, the second thing that's important, I think, is that we don't forget the community that we have, and that the community that we have can really help us grow. So in the weeks ahead, you guys, look to see a big advancement and a push on the marketing front. That being said, I don't want people to forget that I came from the community, and that's really what's special about what we're doing here. I will continue to be in the groups, and also please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. We want your feedback. We want your suggestions, and I'm really, really excited to push the marketing and to be part of the core team.
Right. Welcome, Don Johnson. And yeah, so this is just a start, right? I think we want more and more of you folks to come and join us and to really build this DAO up together and to really achieve something special together. So this is just the beginning of a very beautiful journey together. So I think that will probably wrap up our third town hall. So as always, thank you again for tuning in, and for those who are listening in from a recording, thank you as well. And that's contributing. Cheers.